We got Columbina leaks. Oh, is it time? At C0, Columbina gives 50% lunar reaction bonus, 50% attack, interruption resistance for what? Element-based IR? Huh? That's so funny. Sandrone was really fucking pissed off. So Columbina had to soothe her a little bit. I guess. I swear, there's nothing going on between me and Arlecchino. I promise. I promise. By the way, if that's real, right? 50% attack plus 48 from TTDS. If that's not Gleam reliant, we have our new best Skirk support. But it's probably gonna be Gleam reliant actually. So never mind. I should actually properly take a look at the leaks we got. I don't think we got anything new since the last time I checked, but I didn't check it on stream, so we can talk about this, right? This is what has been leaked about Columbina so far. I don't know if this is a reliable leaker with a good track record. Honestly, I really don't follow like the individual leakers and their individual track records at all. So I rely on you guys for that. They are reliable. Okay, bet. Kokomi is reliable. Okay, let's rein it in a little. Uncle Kokomi is reliable. Please and thank you. So skill applies wet in a small radius around herself and generates a buff or a thing, whatever. When the team triggers a lunar reaction, then after the next lunar reaction, that thing that gets generated deals lunar reaction damage to enemies based on Columbina's max HP. HP scaler confirmed. Okay. The damage type is determined by whichever lunar reaction type the enemy previously took the highest damage from. Okay, so worth noting, this is when the team triggers a lunar reaction, not when the team deals damage with a lunar reaction, which means it could work in Hyperbloom Llama team. And it doesn't mention a cooldown, so I wonder if it triggers on every hit or if there's an ICD on it. Because if there's no ICD on it, that's gonna be real fucking good for Singto, you know? This also means she can use Llama Quills. Yes, it does. Can the self-hydro application work with Razor's self-electro? This doesn't have self-hydro. At least not, it doesn't say it has self-hydro. Applies wet. That doesn't mean applies hydro to yourself. Wet is the name of the hydro status. It's also wet on enemies. It's not just on yourself. It's weird because other elemental auras don't have names, but hydro aura does. Dude, like auras by themselves are so weird because like only one aura has an actual effect, right? The cryo aura slows you down and slows enemies down. Then only one aura has a name. The hydro aura has a name, what is actually a reaction. That makes sense. Like applying hydro, the wet text appears when you apply hydro as an aura. So I guess it's probably coded the same way as a reaction of like something that happens when you apply hydro on an enemy that doesn't have aura. Would that proc things like instructor? It's probably like burning, where it's coded like half a reaction, so it doesn't, because I'm pretty sure it doesn't apply instructor when you just apply a hydro aura onto nothing. Is that why hydro swirl doesn't deal 2 ticks of damage in AoE? Honestly, it might be. It might be that the wet reaction shares ICD with swirl. I have never thought about that before. That's crazy. Holy fuck. That is actually crazy. Yeah. So it applies wet in a one-time instance. We don't know yet. This is kind of vague because we don't know for a fact that the description of XX here is all that XX does. Also, by the way, fucking stupid ass name. All right. It sounds like I'm censoring a fucking something that's not safe for work. Like, don't call them XX. Like, call it something else, but whatever. Okay. Let's just call her turret or whatever, right? This says something that the turret does, but it doesn't say that this is all the turret does. It's kind of like how undone be thy sinful heck describes one of the properties of Oz, right? Like if they leaked this passive for Fischl, you might not realize that Fischl has off-field application without reaction. That's what I'm expecting is going on here, because I really don't expect her to have no hydro app whatsoever. I think it's very, very likely she does. Although maybe that's on the birth. Who knows? I don't think so though. I expect it to be on the skill. Columbina turret extra hit whenever a lunar reaction is triggered. You know, I wonder how exactly that works. Because with lunar charge, for example, would it trigger a coordinated hit on each instance of talent lunar damage? Would it trigger every time that you get the like reaction trigger condition for the artifact sets, or every time the lunar reaction itself does damage? Because like when you apply hydro or electro onto an enemy that has lunar charge on them, it triggers a reaction no matter what. Every single time it triggers a reaction. It refreshes instructor or whatever reaction like trigger conditions you have. And if that's how it works, then her kit would incentivize like omega fast application, right? Because every single application would trigger a reaction and trigger this passive. But it might actually just be when it deals damage, or it might be like when for lunar charge when the cloud ticks or something. There's not really much precedent for this, unfortunately, so it's hard to predict. Doesn't that mean EM is completely useless for skill damage? No, because it's lunar reaction damage. Lunar reaction damage scales with EM. Isn't she dealing direct lunar damage scaling off of HP? Yes, but Linz does direct lunar damage scaling off of attack, does that mean he doesn't want EM? She'd still want it. She'd still want EM. It's still reaction damage. I think probably has cooldown anyways. It might, yeah. I'm gonna be honest, I'm excited. Because pretty much no matter which direction they go with it, there's gonna be a lot of like interesting interactions. I just hope it's not like a 2-second cooldown on this or some shit. Because if it's like a 2-second cooldown on this, it's just really boring. Yeah, but like if it works like Oz, like Fischl A4, where it's a 0.5-second ICD, that could be so interesting. Like it would add such a massive dynamic element to the team building and like elemental application in general. Wouldn't that be so broken? I mean, it depends on how much damage it does. How would she work without lunar characters? She wouldn't. It seems like Columbina just does not work by herself. Maybe they're gonna release her with a 4-star that enables lunar reactions. That kind of sucks, but that it technically works. I kind of hope they do, because otherwise it's fucking cooked as hell. Or maybe they're just gonna make it so that some of the stuff she provides is still valuable outside of lunar teams. Can you at least say you're not interested in Columbina's kit? You'd curse her kit before beta even releases? I'm sorry. Lunar MC maybe? Oh, that's true. We could get a Lunar MC. That's actually true. That's actually really true. It wouldn't have to be a 4-star. It could just be the MC. I actually think it would make more sense for it to be the MC. Yeah, I just think the idea that a 5-star character can be completely worthless if you don't also get another 5-star character. Like, not just they're a lot worse, but like straight up half of their kit does not work. That would be really bad. Like, imagine if they released Maoika without a single 4-star Natlan character or Pyro MC, and then you had to get another Natlan 5-star in order to use Maoika's burst every rotation. Like, you straight up had to, right? Like, that would have been fucking terrible. Because right now, none of the Nodcry 4-stars actually enable lunar reaction. So if Columbina doesn't do that either, we need another character that does. That's available to everyone. And honestly, like, it shouldn't be a new 4-star either unless they also give a copy for free. So I feel like MC would work. And they don't even need to make it good. They can make it completely dog shit. And I don't, like, obviously, I would prefer if it isn't. The issue I would have with that would just be a balance issue, which is inherently different. I think design-wise, if there's a character that has a massive part of their kit that is straight up literally impossible to activate without pulling for another limited 5-star, that's really, really bad, right? Like, I was pissed off at Nilo because there weren't a lot of synergistic characters, but that's nothing compared to this. Cyrene is not sounding bad. I mean, I don't follow Cyril meta, so I don't know how good Cyrene is, but like, how good is Cyrene if you don't have any of the characters that she buffs? Also, does she buff any of the characters that like people should be expected to have? Without Chrysos, Airs, she's garbage. See, you've lost me at Chrysos, buddy. She does buff Dunhung, who is free. Oh, I see. I mean, okay, listen. At the end of the day, right, the very fact we're comparing it to Star Rail is not a good sign. That is not a good sign at all. By the way, chat, does the way that her kit function change based on who she's paired with, or are her numbers just like way better based on who she's buffing? Yes. How? TLDR it for me. Hold frequency? I see. Yeah, that actually makes sense. Because in Star Rail, unlike in Genshin, you can't just build a fuck ton of ER. Unless that's changed. But like, ER isn't available as a substat. So the amount of turns required to ult is actually set in stone. Oh, is it a special burst that doesn't use energy recharge? Whatever. It's the same idea, right? Like, you can't build your characters to get your ult faster, right? Because ults don't have a cooldown. They just have a resource cost. And the resource cost needs to be generated based on specific criteria. And you can't change your build to make that happen more quickly other than just by building speed. And so a character getting their ult more quickly actually does change their core gameplay in Star Rail. But I don't know if it's as much of a change as this, right? Because like, from what I understand, without a lunar reaction, Columbina does fucking nothing other than just a bit of hydro amp. And with a lunar reaction, she's basically like an off-field damage dealer of that lunar reaction, which is a completely different purpose. And I'm fairly sure that's intended to be her main gameplay. Like, I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be the main thing you're supposed to do. That's gonna be what she's balanced around. So if you don't have another a character that enables lunar reactions, she's effectively not a character. Like, she's not just a bad character, like, she effectively does not do what her kit is supposed to do, which might actually be worse than Cyrene's stuff. Like, imagine if Citlali didn't generate... Imagine if this passive that generates Night Soul when you trigger Freeze and Melt only gave Night Soul if the character that triggers Freeze or Melt is a Natlan character other than her. And she didn't get the 4 Night Soul from this. So without another Natlan character, you'd get 48 Night Soul and you wouldn't activate her off-field cryo. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from this. It's just, the character just wouldn't function without the other very specific thing. So I really, really, really hope she's released with a 4-star that enables Lunar, or with Lunar MC. Because otherwise, I think it's like a really, really bad sign. To be fair, in the long term, I do kind of expect them to at some point release a 4-star that enables Lunar. But I think it's cooked if they release her in a state where you don't have one. How big will her burst buff be, do you expect? Like Farina's 75% buff? There was a different league that said 50%. I don't know how reliable it is, but honestly, I can believe it. 50% isn't as big as you might think, because like you get so much EM and reaction damage multiplier in those lunar teams. And from what I'm looking at here, it seems like she's supposed to be a damage dealer. So I wouldn't expect her to have a buff that's that big. I know it's 35. Yeah, I know it's 35 with 80 EM, right? 50% is going to be very similar. Maybe a little bit better. Maybe a bit worse on Nefer because she's an EM scaler for the personal damage of the on-fielder. But she's going to have actual personal damage herself. So I don't expect it to be much more than 50%. Otherwise, it's kind of going to be cooked. Is her enabling Lunar herself not a possibility? I mean, it is, because none of these leaks are like really finalized, but I don't think so. Would she be broken if she enabled all Lunar reactions? We don't know what the fuck her numbers are yet, so no clue. What if she hits for 1? Like, what are you gonna do if she hits for 1? 4.2 Farina, 6.2 Durina, 6.3 Lunar Farina. Okay, buddy.
Goose on the loose.
Yeah.
Goose on the loose.
Goose on the loose.